Hi everyone. It's been 6 months. I have not posted a single video, and it's pretty crazy how 6 months flew by. But I'm here to give you an update. I don't know if you can tell, but I feel like my aura has changed a bit more. Even though I don't speak a lot in videos, but I feel like how I am 6 months ago is completely different to how I am today. And it's like what? February 2026. First things first, I just turned 25. Yay! No, yay! In this economy, it doesn't feel great. But we move. If you see me looking down, I'm just looking through a few notes that I want to talk about and my purpose of this video. I think my last videos were really about unemployment, and newsflash, I got a job, but it's a contract job, so it means in March I'm gonna be unemployed again. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna stop looking for a job. Currently I'm still in the midst of finding jobs before March ends. The good news is I've gotten some responses. It's quite bitter that it's not a permanent job that I got, but needless to say, where I was a few months ago, I am definitely grateful to have a job in the first place. It's just, I wish it was more permanent, a bit more secure, but in this day and age, is anything really safe? Is anything really determined? So, not really. Next, may come as a shock, may not be. In my previous few videos, I noticed that I wasn't as confident. The reason why is because I think, growing up with depression, I would say 2025 really was my rock bottom. Not being able to pursue what I truly want, a social media internship or what I thought I really wanted, it didn't work out. Back to the present moment, I feel like I can honestly say, hopefully this is a new change where I feel like I'm very, very done of being depressed. What I mean by being done is I feel very tired of being sad. I don't think so a lot of people realize how much energy it takes to be sad, just like how much energy it takes to be happy. I'm not saying that I've turned into a new leaf where I'm super positive and I've just, wow, what is depression? She's not real, she doesn't exist. No, not that kind. It's more of like when you have been depressed for a very long time, especially at a very young age, and you move through life where everything felt so broken. Your confidence was shaken. You live life through needing other people's validation, having the fear of really pursuing what you want, always thinking that parents are not agreeable with what you want to pursue. You would swallow your pride or whatever it is you take to suppress and just listen to them, because in that moment of time you think, oh, they know what's best for me. When I was younger, I've always wanted to be a YouTuber, and my dad was like, no, it's not sustainable, you'll never make it out alive. I think there were a lot of ways how, in his words, it was out of care and love, but I felt so insulted. 5 ways to Sundays, I felt very insulted. It made me realize how much I didn't like how I look, how I sound, how I speak, and all these little critiques did carry a lot in my teenage years as well as my adulthood. It really did affect me to a degree. And Asian parents is, they will never understand what it's like to feel what I feel, because they don't see themselves as deeply as how I see myself in that sense. How I came about to being very done with depression is such a weird and long story, but to make it short, I just came to a realization that no one really gives a shit about you. Like, no one genuinely cares about what you do. The more you say no to opportunities that could come your way, the more you don't ask, or daring to ask just as simple as, oh, can I get a raise? The more I felt that I was letting opportunities slip by my fingers one by one. Because growing up watching TikTok, YouTube, I've always felt that people are so lucky and people have it all. It was not until I realized people are lucky because they created their own luck. They worked so hard to be in that moment where they have worked the hardest for. We don't see the hardships, the downsides, how much failures they have went through to be able to build their own success. It got me pondering, how long am I gonna watch others bypass me and always say that, oh, they are so lucky because I could come up with a million one reasons. They could because they're pretty, they're rich, they're genuinely gifted. I keep making up all these excuses, but I fail to realize that people put in the work. Everyone is no one until there's someone when they put in the hard work and effort. And I think the problem with that, it also comes with the need for instant gratification. That is when I realized how this year was completely different. I've never felt this optimistic about 2026. For example, I have never really sat down and properly think of my finances. And then it hit me, I have debt that I need to clear, money that I owe CPF, aka my mother. And when you graduate, the bill comes. The bill comes a year later, and last year I had to defer my repayment fee. It made me feel more shitty at that point of time because I don't have the money to pay back, and I couldn't get a job. I couldn't even control my emotions, and I was all over the place. I was spiraling, like you can imagine. And then this year I sat down, took the initiative, and really just braved through and see my finances. Like, how is it like? What's the health? How bad are we in? Well, like, as someone who thought that I was a thrifty spender, I'm actually quite the opposite. I'm a careless spender. I spend with my emotions more than I spend with logic and reasoning. And that is also the cause of why managing money felt so difficult, felt so suffocating, felt like shit. I've collected so much clutter, I've built so much mess in my room that I couldn't even justify the purpose, why I bought it, and the need for it. Because now, 6 months later, I've realized that everything I've used, everything that I've owned, has a purpose, has a reason why they are in my room. I don't buy things just out of whim now. I really take a step back. Keeping all these clutter is because I keep telling myself, oh, one day I will lose the weight and I will wear it, and that one day never came. Because of all this, it has really shifted my mind and perception of how I deal with money, how I deal with things, and how I deal with people, and how I deal with myself. I'm not saying that I'm where I want to be. I think I'm far from where I want to be. How much I've really missed out on the things that I could have. But I guess everything has a reason, and my goal this year is really to put myself out there, being able to acquire a stable second income, travel twice a year on a budget. I feel like I'm talking to you guys as if I'm talking to a friend, and I've never been this comfortable. I don't know, I think my previous videos I look more scared. And all in all, I'm quite curious to see how 2026 is panned out for me, because I think this year is gonna be an interesting one. I'm gonna see my growth when I look back when I'm in 2027, a year from now. I hope I am completely different in a good way. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.